When I sat down to play this chess game, I thought it was going to be a completely normal game. However, I was very wrong. I was playing against Miguel, the brother of my previous opponent in this tournament, and he was rated around 1800. The first thing that happened when I sat down was that his friends started saying that they know the cow opening, the opening that I invented, and they wanted to play it. And after a little bit of discussing, my opponent said, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna play the cow opening as well. And so I thought, wait a second. Is everybody on this row in an important chess tournament going to play the cow opening? The answer was yes. I was smiling because I couldn't believe what I was about to witness. And I was thinking, should I play the cow opening as well? I decided to do it, and I went for e3, d3, and here we have the cow opening. However, the funny part is that my opponent is playing the cow opening too, so this was my first ever cow versus cow game in a chess tournament. We were both laughing because not only were we both playing the cow opening, you can see in the board next to me that he's playing the cow opening as well. I instantly knew that this was a historic moment, and I just really wanted to win with my own opening. We honestly couldn't stop laughing. And you played bishop d7. Now, my idea of pushing the a-pawn is just simply that I want to maybe go to a5 and I want to take some space. Or when you're facing the cow opening, you want to either push the h-pawn or the a-pawn to attack the knights on b3 and g3. This is why the opening is generally not considered to be so good principle-wise, because you're placing your knights on weird squares where they can very easily be attacked. However, I still like the cow opening. So I was able to get some central space, and then I decided to push the h-pawn. I was just playing this as if I was just facing the cow opening. I didn't think about where my pieces were, I was only thinking about where his pieces were. He played d5 to ask me what I'm gonna do with my center. And I started considering going h5. I ended up doing that move, and now I felt like both my a-pawn and my h-pawn were quite well placed, but a lot of times it's easy to overextend, so I had to make sure that I didn't push the pawns too far. I developed my bishop. I wanted to keep the center the way it was. My opponent started thinking for a while, and the game was not as much laughs anymore. Now we both wanted to win. He played bishop e7. I was thinking here, should I play f4? Should I play h6? What is my plan right now? Do I castle? But then it feels like my h-pawn gets quite weak. I decided to play d4, attacking the knight. Why? Well, because I wanted to get the center. And I thought that after d4, I can maybe play e5 as well. And then the light square diagonal will be open for my bishop perhaps at some point. And with a pawn on h5, it's going to be quite easy for me to attack his king. So I was trying to think a few steps ahead of what my plan was going to be very soon. I ended up playing e5, and he quickly replied with knight e4. I took the knight, he took, and here I was very happy with my position. I ended up developing my bishop as it was the final minor piece that I hadn't developed yet. He played bishop g5, wanting to trade, and I wasn't so upset about that because I thought that my dark squared bishop is anyways my bad bishop, as both of my central pawns are on dark squares. So I thought, if you want to trade it, we can trade it. But I wanted to have my queen on e3 to attack the pawn on e4, because I didn't really know how he was going to defend it. If he plays f5, then I can take en passant. So he played knight b4, threatening a royal fork on c2. That triple fork is definitely not a fork you want to fall for, so I had to come up with a way of defending this. Could I go queen takes pawn? Yes, but then maybe bishop c6 was going to come, and this could get very tricky. So I decided to play rook c1 and defend the pawn. I could have castled, but I didn't want to castle queenside because I was thinking that my plan was to castle kingside and defend the g2 pawn with my king. He now defended the pawn, and I was thinking, how do I get rid of this pawn? Now he's also threatening to maybe play knight d5, and I realized that my position was maybe not as good as it was a few moves prior. I played knight c5, bringing that knight up to the center and making my cow knight slightly better. The knights on b3 and g3 are called cow knights, in case you didn't know. He threatened my queen, and I did not want to take on e4 because then that bishop would be so strong in that diagonal, so I played queen g3, threatening the g7 pawn. I was now threatening to go knight takes e4, and I was threatening the pawn on g7. He played king f8. He couldn't find another way of defending that pawn, and I finally took the e-pawn. He played queen e7, trying to maybe check on b4 and then get his queen onto the queen side, capturing my pawns on b2 or a5. And I played c3 to avoid this. I didn't want to give him any chances of counterattack. He played b6, and I played a6 because I didn't want to let his rook become active in that file. He played rook d8, and now it was time for me to attack the king. I thought that with a pawn on h6, that king is going to be so incredibly weak, and everything that I need now is to somehow get a queen to g7. But I only had 15 seconds left, and I wasn't exactly sure of how to do it. We started making random moves. I was kind of going back and forth. I must admit that this plan is not the best plan I've had in my life, but I was just trying to make some quick moves. I now realized that the d6 square was available, so I was trying to get a knight up to d6. The queen could finally get to b4, which I wasn't happy about, and we traded queens, and I now realized that his king wasn't as weak as it was a few moves ago. My g2 pawn started becoming very weak, and I was very worried about it. I lost it, but I tried to centralize my king. He started activating his king as well, and I could see that the one thing I had was the c-file. The position was now about equal, and everything that I could do was just try to swindle in with the little time. But now I had a plan. I could move my knight around to d6, but now he let me check him, and then after rook c7 check, the king had to go to f8, but he played rook d7, and then I was able to win the rook. And in the time travel, I was able to win this game. So, in the first ever cow versus cow tournament game, at least that I know of, I won, and that feels very good. We talked a little bit about the game after, and he was super nice, and I was just so happy that the cow had made an appearance in Menorca, Spain. I was curious to know how the opponent next to me had done with the cow opening as well. Let me know if you've ever played the cow opening and let me know your thoughts of the opening. Thank you so much for watching this video, and may the cow make appearances in many future chess tournaments.